Hi, so good evening, everybody. Hope everybody can hear me, see me live. I'm sorry for if you've been waiting. This took a couple of minutes. If some of you are joining us for the first time today, my name is Anand. This is a series of lectures that I've kickstarted specifically aiming at practicing getting ourselves ready for the IIM Indore exam, IIM Rohtak exam, and DU-JAT. Right, those are three uh, entrances that we're targeting. I think some of my students. I've been getting these queries from our classroom students, right? Some of you have been asking me, sir, is this useful for DU-JAT? Absolutely. I think a lot of these topics that we're covering, especially in higher math, are as relevant, if not more relevant for the DU-JAT, for the DU entrance, right? So I mean, yeah. So I guess that's the relevance of today's topic, and in fact, relevance of the lecture series itself, right? I know I did say 10 sessions, but yeah, I mean, we could go with a few extra sessions maybe over and above that. If I mean, it all depends on the kind of response that you guys show, right? So um, in case you guys want the exercise, and if you're seeing this, not seeing this live, if you're seeing this recorded and you need to access the exercise, click on the URL right, in the description of this video, and there's a link where you can access the class exercise, because I don't think it makes sense without trying the questions yourself first. So do register and do get this exercise for free. Maybe pause the video here, try these questions yourself, and then maybe we could come down and discuss and join how and see how I've solved these questions. Good evening to everybody. Mannat, Kriti, Arun, Arhan, Aradhya. Yeah, good evening, guys. Hope things are things are fine at your end. It's been a little sultry lately, right? It's been very hot and very humid. Delhi is quite, Gurgaon is quite unlike Gurgaon. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I hope that doesn't stop, the daily life that we have, whether it's, your prep, whether it's, I don't know what passions you guys have. I certainly hope that you guys are, devoting some time to relax and keep your mind off. All this stress, all this pressure. I know a lot of these exams are getting postponed. Uh, I mean, if I was in your shoes, I'd be really, really kicking myself, as calling myself as unlucky, saying, why did I have to take my board exams in 2020? Because this seems like the worst year, for a student, for a class 12 student. But I mean, I'd look at the positive side. I look at the brighter side, saying, okay, I mean, unlike most students, you get more time to prepare for the exams, right? I mean, small little anecdotal story I have, right? So I don't know how many of you know this, but I went to IIM Bangalore, right? I did my post graduation from IIM Bangalore way back in time, right? So and so I again don't know how many of you know about the CAT exam, right? It's one of the toughest exams, right? That in India, and in fact, I mean, celebrated worldwide as really difficult, and it's really competitive to crack, right? About 2.5 lakh people write the exam on an annual basis. So here I was way back writing the CAT exam. It happens in November. It happens one day of the year, right? So you prep, you put your efforts all towards that, doing well on that one day, and so I wrote the exam. I came back home, right? I was really pumped, right? I'd been preparing for a good 5 6 months for the CAT exam. So after I finished the exam, I come back home, and the moment I enter my house, my mom tells me the exam that you just took has been leaked. The paper has been leaked, and so and I didn't know first to react. How I should be reacting, because paper leak ho gaya. Matlab, I mean, does that mean? What does that mean to me? So then, I mean, as I started following the news, I was realized that since the paper had been leaked, they'd scrapped that day's exam, right? So all that mehnat of 6 months, complete waste, right? And so they scrapped the exam that day. They said we'll conduct it again. That was 3 months later, which means that's 3 more months of preparation, and I was feeling miserable, much like all of you guys are feeling miserable right now. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I think the outcome is there for you guys to see. I mean, 3 months later, kept my cool, still went into the exam day, wrote exactly the same way. I mean, people ask me, did I do the second day better, second attempt better than the first attempt? Absolutely not. I think both exams I was equally happy with. In fact, both exams my performance was equally average, right? I mean, same number of roughly questions attempted and my general feeling, right? The feeling that you have after you write an exam, right? You feel good about yourself or not. So yeah, I mean that's what I would suggest you guys do, right? I know that these are external things which tend to sort of affect your mindset, but do not let it, disturb your peace of mind. I think you guys should be mature and just worry about like Arjuna's eye. You should have your eyes on the target and not on anything else which disturbs you. Okay. So today we're discussing one of the most important topics. If you ask me, I think whether it's IIM-Indore, DU-JAT, NPAT, Symbiosis, any exam for that matter that has math, right? In the math section, I think one of the most important topics is the arithmetic topics, right? And questions from arithmetic are plenty in any exam under the sun, especially so in IPM or DU-JAT, right? So how many questions can we expect? Well, I don't know. If there are 60 questions in math, then arithmetic surely will have about 10 odd questions, right? So pretty meaty topic, right? 10 out of 10 or 15 questions from this one topic means you need to practice really hard at this. Now this topic itself is very vast, right? Which means that you have questions from percentages, you have questions from ratios, averages, mixtures, time, speed, distance, work, relative speed. There's so many topics to cover that it's really quite it can be really quite challenging, right? So I think in today's exercise, what I've done is I've tried to give you a mix of these, questions across these topics. I mean, by no means is this exhaustive, but at least there's a degree of variation in the question types, right? I'm sure that I don't know how many of you have prepared with us, but irrespective of where you guys have been preparing, even with me, then this is the kind of level of question that you won't see too often, right? So there's a slight bit more application on these problem types, right? So that's with that sort of introduction, let's begin today's class exercise. Hope everybody is able to access the class exercise. Our students can obviously you are part of a group that where we are sharing the class exercise. Hope everybody received the class exercise, and those who are not registered with us, do so at the link right below, and you get the exercise. Okay, let's start off with question number one, right? This one, is actually this one is an actual IPM question, right? It came, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, some. I mean, IPM doesn't really release their exam papers, so there's no way of verifying which, when, and where this came. But I got this from one of my students who cleared the IPM that year, right? So here's the question, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody can see this on their on your system, right? So have a close look at the question. It's a it's, you need to understand it. You need to apply your common sense. Right? It's more common sense, not really a very tough question if you can use your common sense. Okay, starting to get a few answers here. Okay, Anand says A. Anand says option A should be. Yeah, what does that read? That says at most four people's money was not four people. That's what the two of them think. Okay. Yes, hi. Good evening, Adarsh. Yes. Okay. Arun says A. So most of you saying A, but then I also have one person saying D. None of these. I'm not sure how you say that. So here's the deal, right? So if you read the question carefully, we'll make an assumption to make it easier, right? So since it says anybody who receives less than 1/6 of the votes polled, I'll assume that let's say there are 600 total votes, right? And the winner got how many votes? He got 35%, right? So that's going to be 35 upon 100 into 600. That's like 35 into 6. That's like 210 votes, which means I need to worry about the remaining 390 votes, right? And what I do know is anybody who gets 100 less than 1/6, so anybody who gets less than 100 votes is disqualified, right? This is what is given, right? 1/6 is 100, right? So to get disqualified, somebody needs to get 100 under 100 votes, right? So if there are 390 votes remaining, what can I do, right? So let's imagine some possibilities, no? So one winner, and there are total 10 people who are contesting in the elections, right? So if there are 10 people and one guy won, the remaining 9 people can all get these number of votes equally. I mean, equally, though, it doesn't look very obvious, right? It's not divisible by 9. But yeah, you can say roughly equally. That's like 9 fours are 36. Yeah, approximately about 43 votes maybe, right? So that can happen. But if everybody gets 43 votes, each one of the remaining 9 will get disqualified. So obviously, at most 9 people get disqualified, right? That's the upper limit, right? I don't think so does that match the options? Option A says at most 4 people, forfeited. Sorry, I shouldn't say disqualified. It's the same as money getting forfeited, right? So at most 4 people's money was not forfeited. Okay. Yeah. So in this case, the number that I had was that only one guy did not forfeit his money. The remaining 9 did. Okay. But if I look at option A and option B is obviously wrong because it says everybody's money was forfeited. Obviously, the winner's money is not forfeited. So B is obviously wrong, right? And between A and C, I can see that it puts a cap on how many people forfeited their money and how many did not. And what's the upper limit, lower limit? At least means lower limit, and at most means upper limit. Do you get that? At least means when it says at least 6 people's money was forfeited, then it means that either 6 people forfeited their money, or 7 or 8 or 9. 10 can't be, 10 can't, all 10 can't forfeit. So is that true? 6, 7, 8, 9, is that true? Or at the other end, it says option A says at most 4 people's money was not forfeited. At most, which means either 4 people did not forfeit or 3 of them did not forfeit. Yeah. So forfeit and did not forfeit, which means if 9 people forfeit, then one of them did not forfeit. If 8 forfeit, then 2 will not. 7 forfeit, 3 will not. 6, 4, 5, 5. I see this is how it will work. So when the question says that at most 4 people did not forfeit, then it's counting these 4 cases. This is option A. Right? And when it says at least 6 people's money was not forfeited, again it's talking about the same courses, same 4, which is option C, right? So clearly, I mean, you should have figured this out. It's a trick question, right? Because here option A and option C are actually identical. It doesn't matter if you pick option A or you pick option C. It's one and the same thing, right? If 4 people forfeit their money, then 6 people do not. So if this is the at most value, then this is the at least value, right? So it actually matches. And is that true? Okay, let's quickly verify. If there are 390 people, votes that are remaining, and I want everybody, who gets 100 votes will not forfeit. Right? Anybody who gets 100 votes does not forfeit his money, correct? Which means how many people can get 100 votes? At most 3. So because it's 390 votes left, 4 people can't get 400. 4 people would need 400 votes. So which means 390 votes, 3 of them can get 100 or more than 100, right? At most 3. So 3 plus the winner means 4. So at most 4 people will get more than 100 votes, which means at most 4 people do not forfeit their money. And if 4 people do not forfeit their money, then correspondingly 6 people will forfeit. So then option A and option C are both correct in this particular problem. Yeah, absolutely, Anand. Good that you figured it out. I just saw that you've typed this out, right? Absolutely spot on. option A and option C are indeed identical, right? Now, don't come and, don't say, sir, what kind of a question have you made, right? I know what you're thinking, but it doesn't matter. The idea here was that you need to have your thinking hats on, because, obviously this question was relayed as it is from a student back to me, right? So there was a mistake. I retained that mistake, right? I deliberately let it be like this so that I could judge, are you guys reading the question properly or not? And other than Arhan, I don't think anybody figured this out. So that's some food for thought. Yeah. Is this clear to everybody? Answer option A or option C. Both of them are equally correct, right? But at least and at most, I hope you guys are able to figure out the difference. Okay, let's try question number 2 then. Another question on percentages. Right? Again, a question that came in the actual IPM paper, in one of the editions at least. I'm Indore. Let's quickly try question number 2. Quick answer from Arun. I wonder if you solved it now or you tried it early. Any other answers, guys? No? Well, you not yet? Okay, let's try this out. I really want to hurry up a little today because we have plenty to discuss. There's a lot of question types, and ideally it'd be to your benefit if I can discuss all of them. Yeah. So slightly I'm going to pace up, guys. Let me know in the chat if you guys want me to slow down at any moment, if you want me to repeat something. Yeah. So this one says that there are 1875 fewer girls than the number of boys, right? So girls. So I'm immediately thinking girls is boys minus 1875, and in fact the total number of students, girls plus boys, all inclusive, in the school is 13,925, right? So I can solve both of them simultaneously. I should be solving both of them, right? So what I can do is I can simply subtract 1875 from this. I get, I think, 12,050, which means that yeah, so the number of girls will be 6,075, right? Yeah, 925. No, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, so the number of girls will be 13,925. If I substitute girls as boys minus this, so boys will be girls plus this. So if I do that, the girls will be this minus 1875 divided by 2. So that becomes 12,050 upon 2. That's like 6,025. And so 60 upon 100 passed, right? So 25 into 4, 25 5s are 125. That's 14 left, 147. Again, 5s are 125. 22 left, 225 is 9. So 15 times this, let's quickly calculate. 15 nines are 135. 75 plus 13, 88. 75 plus 8, 93. So 9,385 who passed. And it also says 80% of the girls passed. So, which means of the girls, 80% passed. So this is total passed. And girls who pass would be like 80% or 4/5 of 6,025. So easy to calculate. 12,1205. So that's 4820. Yeah. Which means the rest of them, right? I can subtract. Boys who pass would be the rest. Which means subtract 5, 6, 13 minus 8 is 5, and 8 minus 4 is 4. So 4,000. Yeah. So those are numbers I have. Question says find the ratio of number of boys who failed. Okay. These are boys who passed. So boys who failed will be this minus this. So 7,900 minus 4,565 to the number of girls who failed, right? Boys who failed, this minus this, girls who failed will be total girls 6,025 less the girls who passed, which is 4,820, right? So I can quickly calculate that 65 and 4, 3465 divided by how much is this? 00 and 1200, right? So and just simplify this. Yeah. Not a really hard question, but a question the calculations are quite severe, right? Calculations are harder to do than anything else, right? So there's everybody getting the same answer. Option A is that what you're getting? I don't think I'm getting option A. Cool. Let's move on. Try question number 3 then. These are all from percentages. Oh yeah. It should be 1205. Yeah, my bad. Hey guys. There was a 15% increase in prices and a 12% decrease in sales. Shouldn't it be 60% of 13,925? Yeah. Yes. Thank you, guys. I mean, I've made like a bundle of errors here. I don't know. I've completely missed it. Yeah, this is supposed to be 925, right? I'm around 975, right? But yeah. So ignore the calculations that I've done. I managed to completely screw this up, right? But so I can correct that. 225 by the 125, 220, 142, 5s are 125. This will be 7. And 355. This is going to be right. And boys who passed will be this less this. So 5, 3, 5, yes. Oh, 5, 3, 5. So yeah, I think that should be the right answer. 3, 5. I want 205. Yeah, how about question number 3, guys? Okay. Most of you are going with option B. Increase revenue is price into quantity, right? 15% increase in price and correspondingly a 12% decrease in quantity or sales, right? This is what we call sales. Yeah. So if there is a 15% increase in the price and then we experience a 12% decrease in sales, what is the percentage change in revenue, right? So many ways of doing this. One unitary way would say, okay, let's say initially R1, the revenue was 100 into, at a price of 100 and I was selling 100 units, right? So that will be a revenue of 10,000, but new revenue after a 15% increase in price, I'm selling for 115 and I sold 12% units less, which means I sold 88 units. And so I can then multiply, right? If I multiply 8 5s are 40, 8 1 8 plus 4 12, 920 and 920, that gives me 10,120, right? So that is an increase of, how much is the revenue increase? It increased by 120. And if I want the percentage increase, then that should be 120 divided by the initial value, that's 10,000 into 100, right? So you can very easily get that answer as 1.2%. That's one way. Those of you who are even more comfortable with percentages can say, okay, these are like two things that are changing that affect the third variable, right? So you could also do that formula, A plus B plus AB by 100, right? You could use that here. You can use that here. A is 15, B is minus 12, and so AB will be minus 15 into 12, that's 180 upon 100, which means I'll get 3 minus 1.8, that's 1.2. Since it's positive, this means an 0.2% increase, right? So yeah, that's an easy one. Yeah, Anand, that's 1.2, not 1.52. But that's okay. Okay. Fifth one. Deliberately left out any option choices in the fourth one. Sorry, not fifth. Oh, okay. Arhan is mentioning the answer to fourth. Okay. Yeah, guys, come on, work this out. Mangoes are bought at the rate of 8 for rupees 25 and sold at the rate of, you wish you could buy 8 mangoes for 25 bucks, man. But if they're bought at 8 for 25 and sold at 5 for 18, then what's the profit percentage? Yeah, and please, guys, don't announce your answers in the that it either sounds like you're bragging that you've been able to do so many questions, or what you're doing is you're actually you're making it worse for the others, right? I mean, if I haven't solved it, I'd rather not see an answer there. So if you've done it, wonderful. Please continue doing the rest of the questions. But for the benefit of others, maybe you don't type out the answer before I ask for it. Yeah. So okay. So in fact, 3 of you are getting 15.2%. I mean, I don't think this question is a hard one. It's a very easy one. But again, the idea is to discuss what is the ideal approach. Right? Because I mean, when I buy in a lot of 8 more mangoes. When I sell, I'll sell in lots of 5 mangoes. So why not purchase 40? If I bought 40 mangoes, why 40? Because it's an LCM of 5 and 8, divisible by both 8 and 5, which means when I buy, how many lots am I buying? 8 into 5 is 40, which means when you buy 5 lots. But when you sell, if one lot is 5 units, you're selling 8 lots. Right? So if you're buying 5 lots, what is your cost? 5 times 25. So CP will be 5 times 25, 125. But when you're selling, your SP will be 8 times 18, like 144. So if you buy for 125 and sell for 144, your profit is the difference, right? Difference is 19 bucks. So percentage profit would be 19 by cost, 125 into 100. 25, 4s are 100, 5s are 125, 19 4s are 76 upon 5, 15.2%, right? So, yeah, indeed, all of you were right. Yeah? I mean, but you can see that it's a question which I can actually solve in under a minute. Should try and do that. Anything, which comes from this chapter of percentages, you should ideally target, if not 1, at least 2 minutes, not more than 2 minutes. Yeah? Okay, how about question number 5? Very interesting question from averages. Simple question from averages, actually. Average weight of a group of 5 students increases. Let you guys read and solve this yourself. Question number 5, guys. Have you guys been taking our the mocks, the IPM mocks? Are you guys taking the IPM mocks or not? How are you guys faring in those? Sometime in the future, but start taking your mocks. Yeah, I mean, I think that's. I mean, how many mocks are there? Okay, Arhan has taken one. Okay, that's nice. Arun has also taken one. Where have you taken a mock, Arun? Not sure that you're registered with us, but right, good. But I want the rest of you also to start taking mocks, yeah, because the idea is to test yourself. Some of the mocks are hard, no? Anand, what's your feedback on the mocks? Okay, okay, okay. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Adarsh. Yeah, glad to be of help, man. Glad to help you out. This is just getting started. There's plenty to do. Okay, question number 5. Very easy, no? Average weight of I'll come back to our mocks and IPM, right? We'll come back to that. Yeah, the first one is tricky. Yeah, indeed, Anand. I'm going to talk to you about that in a bit, right? But first, let's get the 5th question out of the way. So there are 5 students, and the average weight in their average weight. You think if the always when you're dealing with a question on averages, think about average and the number of people, right? So originally the average was A, and this average was for 5 people, which means the sum, right? How is the sum related to average and the number of people? Average sum will always be average into number of people. So originally the sum must have been 5 into the average, 5A. And it says the average weight increases by 1 kg, which means the new average would be 1 more. Wages, I mean, I'm not even sure if these are kids or students or babies, but it doesn't matter. Right? So 2 students leave, which means the sum will reduce by 15 and 17 respectively. And these are replaced, right? Which means 2 more people come in place, right? Which means plus who comes in? One of the new students weighs 20 and the other one weighs, let's say, X. So that's what happens. From the total, the weight of 2 students is reduced and the weight of 2 new students is added, and this becomes my new total. And this is my total for, again, how many people? Since 2 went out and 2 came in, I'll still have 5 people, but now the 5 people have an average of A plus 1. So what is my equation going to be like? New average is equal to new sum by number of people, which means A plus 1 is like 5A minus, how much is this? 20. So 5A minus, this is 32. 32 minus 20 is 12. So 5A minus 12 plus X divided by 5, number of people, would be the new average, right? So if you cross multiply, I'll get 5A plus 5 equal to 5A minus 12 plus X. I can see 5A, 5A cancels out. So which means the value of X will be, bring the 12 here, 12 plus 5, that's like 17 kgs, right? So the when he gets replaced, the student who comes in place will have the weight of 17 kgs. Why? Because if initially 17 plus 15 is 32, they are replaced. 32 kgs gets replaced with 37 kgs. So 5 more kgs gets added. And if the sum is increased by 5, it will become 5A plus 5 divided by 5 will become 8 plus 1, right? So that's the logic. Right? You could have done this actually quite easily in your head also, right? Question number 6 is slightly more application based, but uses the same concept, right? Take a look. I'll give you a minute to think about this. So averages, this is the standard approach I think you guys should be taking. Right. So as regards Yeah, so we were also want to quickly talk about the mocks also, right? So here's what I think you guys should be doing. If there are, I mean, if you're studying with us, then my portal gives you access to 5 mocks, right? So these are, I mean, mocks that we've designed internally. These work, right? Because last few years, every year we get 2-3 students, in fact more, who clear the written test, and then some of them clear the interview as well. So A, it seems to prepare them in the right direction. 2, I also think it's unpredictable because I think the difficulty level of the IIM Indore Rohtak papers is like fluctuating, right? It's not going to be a constant. So what you want to do is you want to be prepared for different difficulty levels, right? You want to take one exam which is very, very hard. I think there are some books also that you can use for mocks, right? I think there's a book by Pearson, there's a book by Tata McGraw-Hill that you can in fact I think there's even an Arihant Publications book, right? So get your hands on maybe a book, or I mean, for want of a better choice, you can also go with what a career launcher or a time would be, or maybe a Pratham would have as test series, just a test series. Remember, if they charge you anything more than a couple of 1,000 or 2,000 rupees, then don't need to spend that much money. But it actually is a good idea to subscribe for a test series now, because if you want to really take a shot at, for example, CAT, right? Some time back I was telling you about my CAT experience. You know how many mocks I took before the actual CAT? Before the first edition, I took 20 mocks. And that's 20 full-length 3-hour exams that I took obviously I had a little more time than you guys did, over a 5.5 months duration, right? But if you think about it, you guys have also been preparing for a couple of months now, and looks like you're going to have another month or so. So why not take a lot more mocks, right? So if you're registered elsewhere and you need more mocks, please visit, please register yourself with Eptitude, maybe get yourself an upgrade. If you're already registered with Eptitude, then find out, I mean, first of all, try and get, our mocks done. I mean, that's, I think, the first priority. But then try to either get your hands on a book or another test series, right? Anything that gives you access to maybe 4-5 more mocks. Try to take 10 mocks, right? Okay. As regards our mocks, I think the expectation should be around 50%. Try to, I mean, I don't think you can score more than 60-65%. So that's going to be hard. So if you're trying our mocks, try to at least score around 200 out of 400. Right? That's going to be my suggestion. Yeah, that's not surprising, Arhan, because again, NPAT, yeah, and that does happen. That's why I say that no one institute can accurately predict what the paper is going to be like, right? So some exams will be hard, some exams will be not so hard. So which is why it's better to sort of mix it together, right? I mean, if, for example, if Anand, you'd actually taken 1 or 2 more IPM papers, then you'd actually be prepared for tougher patterns. Yeah, much tougher patterns than the NPAT. So there you go. That's the verdict. Okay. Adarsh says answer to question number 5. Question number 6 is C. That's 41. Let's see if he's right. So again, going by the same logic, there are n students in a class, and each student calculates the average of the first n natural numbers, right? So average, I know, is sum upon the number of observations. So if I'm calculating the sum of n natural numbers, I hope you remember the formula. That's n into n plus 1 divided by 2. And I would then divide the total by n, and I should get an average of n plus 1 by 2, right? Ideally, every student should be getting this answer, correct? But then what does it say? It says, no, every student also leaves out one number in calculating the average, which means they don't count all n numbers, they actually count one less. And every student leaves out one number, which is different. Every student omits a different number, which means, like, if there are 10 numbers that we are counting, there are 10 students, then each of those students is counting the sum of the average of first 10 natural numbers, right? But then each student will leave out one number each, right? Somebody will leave 2, somebody will leave out 3, etc. Which means between all the students, every student will leave out every single number, right? Yeah, I hope that you guys can make sense out of it. So you are thinking that the actual average calculated won't be this. The actual average calculated will be this minus some number that a student is reducing. are not counting, and that one number is not being counted in the average. So the number of numbers is not n, it's going to be n minus 1. So this is going to be the actual average that every student calculates, right? So, okay, this is what is given, and it also says that the average of all averages. Iska kya matlab? What does it mean? Average of averages, right? So when he says average of averages, then he means if this is, let's say, nth average, right? Or let's say ith average, let's say. So then this student will remove the ith observation, some observation. So average of average will be the sum of all the numbers the first student counted, second student, sorry, average of averages. So each average A1, A2, A3 can be added, right? Because all averages have an equal weight, right? Some of you must be thinking weighted average, but since the number of numbers that every student is counting will be equal, everybody is going to include the same number of numbers, which means what you can do is you can directly add all the averages till an and say divide this by n. That will be the average of averages. Now, what will A1 be? For every A1, you can substitute this. You can substitute this, right? Which means you say, okay, for every A, this part will be the same, right? So you'll end up getting n into n plus 1 by 2. Okay, let me write it actually. Minus x1 plus n plus 1 by 2 minus x2 plus n plus 1 by 3, so on till n into n plus 1 by 2 minus xn. Right? This will be the average of each of those n students, and you divide this by n. Right? So you can see this term. Every average will include this term, which means if there are n averages, then this will come n times. So their sum will be n times n into n plus 1 by 2. What about the sum of all observations? Since every number gets omitted once, this x1 till xn will be also the sum of x1 till xn will also be the sum of first n natural numbers, right, divided by n, which means if this is the sum of the first n natural numbers, this should also be n into n plus 1 by 2. So what I get is this is n square into n plus 1 by 2, and this will then become minus n into n plus 1 by 2 whole divided by n. So you can see n plus 1. Oh, okay, wait. I forgot one thing, right? The denominator for each of those averages is something I didn't write, right? It doesn't matter because all of them have the same denominator, no? So divided by n minus 1 will also feature. Yeah, I hope that you see this. It will be this divided by n minus 1. So, which means I can rewrite it here, n into n minus 1. Right? So, if I take that, right, and what will I get? So, n into n plus 1 by 2 is common. So, I'll take n into n plus 1 whole divided by 2 is common. That leaves me with n minus 1 whole divided by n into n minus 1. So n minus 1 cancels out, and one of the n's will cancel out, which means I'll end up getting n into n plus 1 by 2 as the average of, isn't that what you're getting? Yeah, average of averages is n. No, this is n into n plus 1 by 2. Yeah, so n will get cancelled. You end up getting n plus 1 by 2. So this is given to me as 20. What is this? Average of averages is 21. So what I get is n plus 1 by 2 is equal to 21, which means n will be 42 minus 1. Perfect, 41. So others to spot on. Yeah, Kiti, I think I made that adjustment. Yeah, so the answer indeed is option C, 41 students, right? You can see this is quite a tricky question, right? I mean, not in terms of, the length, but figuring this out. Slightly tricky, right? In the exam, is this worth attempting? I think so. Right? I think it is worth attempting, but you need to understand averages very clearly, right? So let me repeat. Some of you are asking me to repeat. Let me repeat. So the question says, every student must add n observations, right? Which means if you add n observations, the sum of n natural numbers is n into n plus 1 by 2, right? But then it also says every student must not count one number. So if every student excludes one number from the sum, that number can be reduced, right? This will be the sum of that one student, and this will be to calculate average into sum divided by number of observations. So number of observations is 1 less than n, right? So this is the average that every student is calculated. I write it as AI because there will be an A1, there will be an A2, there will be an A3, and so on till AN, right? So this is every student's average. Now the question says every student leaves out one different number, and the average of averages is given, right? So what does this mean, average of averages? If I take every student's average, I bring all those averages together, A1, A2, A3 till AN, and I average this out, right? So which means I1 plus A2 plus A3 till AN, and average it out means divide that total divided by n. That's what the question means. Okay. So A1, if I substitute the value, I'll get n into n plus 1 by 2 minus x1 will be for A1. Obviously, there's a divided by n minus 1, but that will be for every term, no? So what I've done is I've taken that as constant, as common, and divided the entire thing by n minus 1 in the end, right? I hope that makes sense. So n into n plus 1 by 2 minus x1, n into n plus 1 by 2 minus x2, minus x3, minus x4 till minus xn. Right? So in the numerator, you can see n into n plus 1 by 2 will come with every single term. So how many times will it come? It will come a total of n times, which means I can say n into n plus 1 by 2 comes n times, which means that it's like saying if 5 comes 10 times. If 5 comes 10 times, what will the sum be? 5 into 10. So if this comes n times, the total will be this into n, right? Okay, so that takes into account the total of this term. What about the total of x1s, xi's? So I have x1 plus x2 plus x3 till xn. Now is where the second piece of information comes into play, which says every number comes once, right? Every student omits or does not include a different number, which means all 40 numbers that are getting excluded will all be different, but will still be from 1 to n, which means x1 all the way till xn will still count the first n natural numbers, which means this is the sum of the first n natural numbers. I hope that makes sense. Every student excludes a different number, which means if I count the numbers excluded by all students, you'll end up getting all the numbers, the first n natural numbers, whose sum will be n into n plus 1 by 2, right? So this is n square into n plus 1 by 2, this is n into n plus 1 by 2, and that n minus 1 goes in the denominator, which was n into n minus 1, right? So then you just calculate this. So you take n into n plus 1 by 2 common, that leaves me with n here and 1 here. So n minus 1 divided by n into n minus 1, cancel it out, you'll be left with n plus 1 by 2 equate to 21 to get the answer as 41. Is it worth attempting? Yeah, good question, Arun. Is this question worth attempting? If I have 40 questions in 40 minutes in the test, is this question worth attempting? Well, I don't know. I think not. But so these questions now, this kind of judgment you'll have to do, because it depends. First question, 40 questions I have, and I have 40 minutes, right? If my average pace is 2 minutes per question, average, let's say, then in 40 minutes I can only do 20 questions, which is actually quite good. If you can do 20 out of 40 questions in the given allotted time for 40 minutes, let's say, that's good enough, right? That's actually a good timing that you make. But that depends on how difficult the actual questions are. What if 40 questions I'm not able to solve 10? Right? I'm not able to solve more than 10. If I can solve only 10 questions, then a question like this must be attempted. But if the test is easy, then maybe solving a hard question like this is not so sensible, right? Does that make sense, Arun? I guess it depends on the other questions, right? If you have easier questions, to choose from, then leave this. But if the other questions are not easy, then go ahead and attempt it. All right. These were from averages. Let's look at some questions from ratios next. First one is very easy. 6 liters of gas, 6 liters of petrol is filled in a vehicle, and the volume occupied in the tank, right? It goes from 1/4 of what? 1/4 of tank capacity, right? It goes from 1/4 of tank capacity to 5/8. when you pour 6 liters of petrol in the tank, right? So can you find the capacity? Very easy question, no? Come on, guys. By the time I clear the board, you guys should have an answer for me. You guys have an answer for me? Question number 7. Okay. Actually, you can check the options, no? Find the capacity. If the capacity is, let's say, option A, 12 liters, right? So initially it must have 1/4, it must have 3 liters full. And if I add 6, it will become 3 plus 6, 9 liters. So what is 9 by 12? 3/4. It's not 5/8. The wrong answer. Option B is not divisible by 4. I don't like that choice. How about option C, 16? 16 by 4 is 4 liters. So initially must have had 4 liters. Now if I add 6 liters, it becomes 10 liters, which means 10 out of 16. 10 by 16 simplifies into 5 by 8. Spot on. That's the right answer. Option C, right? So a question again, didn't have to do much. Just check the choices and you get an answer, right? Very, very easily. Eighth is a question from proportionality. Yeah, value for diamond and its weight. So it says value is directly proportional to. Yeah, you guys want to try this? Let me give you a minute. Eighth could not comprehend the question, says Arun. Okay, no problems, man. I'll help you out. The value of a diamond is directly proportional. What do you mean directly proportional? It means that if the weight increases, the value increases. If the weight reduces, the value reduces. But it's not proportional to weight. It's proportional to square of its weight. So what the question says is value is directly proportional to square of the weight of the diamond. Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. Which means if I have a 10 kg diamond, the value will be directly proportional to 10 square. If I have a 5 kg diamond, value will be directly proportional to 5 square, 25. Fair enough. This diamond then breaks into 3 parts, and the 3 parts will have weights in the ratio 3:5:7, right? So whenever the question gives you a ratio, right? Remember, approach is let the 3 parts, whatever is given in ratio term, you can assume to be multiples of the terms in the ratio. 3x, 5x, and 7x be the 3 parts, which means the original weight, right? Originally, what would the weight of the diamond be? If these are the 3 pieces that it breaks into, originally it must have been a combined weight, which is what? 7 plus 5, 12, 7x plus 5x, 12x plus 3, 15x, right? Which what I know is that I had a diamond which had a weight of 15x, and this broke and gave me 3 different pieces of weight, 3x, 5x, and 7x. Fair enough? Now, the question also says that the cost of the diamond, find the cost of the diamond if it lost a value of 9,94,000 after breakage. Okay, what it says, what it suggests is if the diamond falls, it goes from 1 piece of this weight to 3 pieces of these 3 weights, right? So the combined value of all the 3 weights is 99,400 less than 15x than the weight of this diamond, right? So basically what it says is that original value minus new value is 99,400. That's what the question says, right? But original value will be value of 1 piece. So from here, how do you work with proportionality? You remove the proportionality and you include a constant. So K is the constant of proportionality. So value V will be K into square of the weight of the diamond, right? Which means originally the weight is this. So the original value must be K into 15x the whole square. And what about the new value? It will be the sum of these three weights. So I can include a bracket and say, okay, it will be k into 3x square plus k into 5x the whole square and k into 7x the whole square. And this difference, should be equal to 99,400, right? So if I solve it, 225 k into x square, and this will be 9x square. Think about it, 9x square, this will be 25x square, this will be 49x square. Right? So if you add all of these, 25 plus 9, 34, 34 plus 49 is like 83. Minus 83 kx square is this equal to 99,400, right? So what do I get? I get 5 minus 3 is 2, 22 minus 8 is 14. So 142 kx square is equal to 99400. Yeah, so I can, obviously I'll get the value of kx square. And 99,400 divided by 142 should get solved out, right? So I'll just directly multiply. 14 7s are 98, no? So 7 2s are 14, 7 4s are 28 plus 1 29, 7 2s are, so it's exactly equal to 7 times. So this becomes 700. So kx square is 700. And now what is the question asking me? Find the cost of the diamond, right? Which means find the original value of the diamond, which means 225 kx square. So original value original cost would be 225 kx square. So 225 kx square means 225 into 700, because kx square is 700. So what does that give me? 5 7 5 are 35. 7 to the 14 plus 3 17. 7 to the 14 plus 1 15. So what I get is one and a half, 1.57 lakhs. 157500. That's about all. That's option B. Does that make sense to you guys? Arun, does that make sense now? Okay. Let's move on. Let's try the next one. Ninth. Also a question from proportionality, right? In both these questions came in actual IPM, by the way. Again, one of those things that should anticipate, right? Proportionality is quite useful, even in life. It's, I mean, you could have all kinds of correlations. This is proportional or correlated to this. Okay, you try question number 9. This is hard. See if you can figure it out, though. Let me give you a minute. Any answers, guys? Everybody's gone like silent on this question. Is it? Train can travel at a maximum speed of 90 kilometers an hour. Okay, that's the fastest speed of the train. And it says speed reduces by, right? Here's where. Always know that in arithmetic, you need to read the problem and make equation basis the words in the problem, right? It says speed reduces by the square root of, so speed reduces means reduction in speed, by means equal to the square root of number of coaches attached to it, right? Its speed reduces by the square root of number of coaches attached to it. Yeah, isn't that what the question gives? Right. So if the speed reduces by square root of n, think about it. Think about it like this. When will the train be fastest? If every time you attach more coaches, if you attach more coaches to the train, then it will reduce, it will become slower. Correct? Speed reduces. Which means if you start from the very beginning, initially there must have been only an engine with no coaches attached. So whatever speed just the engine goes at will be its maximum speed. So when the question says that 90 kilometers per hour is the maximum speed, it must mean that 90 is the speed with no 90 kilometers per hour is the speed with no coaches attached. Does that make sense to everybody? That if the question says maximum speed is 90, then it means, oh, okay, it goes at 90 when there's nothing attached to the train. There's no coach attached to the train. Then I'll attach 1 or 2 or 3. And every time I attach, something, the speed will reduce. So here I'll say if the actual speed is x, let's say, if the actual speed is x kilometers per hour and the maximum speed is 90, how much is the speed reduced by? Reduction in speed would be 90 minus x. And the question says the reduction in speed will be equal to, and by the way, when it says its speed reduces by the square root, I'm not sure that it reduces exactly by the square root. It reduces in proportion to. So ideally, I should think this is actually proportional to, maybe k is 1, maybe it isn't. So in fact, reduction in speed should be equal to k times root of n. That's the way I'll look at it, right? So 90 minus x, this is the reduction in speed because 90 is the maximum speed and x is the speed at which it runs when you have n bogies, n coaches attached to it, right? So 90 minus x will be k root n. This is the equation that you need to make sense of. Yeah. Now the question says, find the maximum number of coaches that can be attached to it if presently it has 4 coaches and it runs at 54. So the last sentence is like data given to you, right? When x is equal to 54, or rather when n is equal to 4, the value of x will be 54. That's what it says. So if I substitute, 90 minus 54 should be equal to k times square root of 4. Obviously, square root of 4 is 2, is equal to 2k. So 2k will be, how much is this? 90 minus 54 is 36, which means k is 80. Right? So first of all, the value of k is what I calculated from here. The constant of proportionality is what I get from here. Yeah. Then I take this and I use this again. So what is the actual equation that I have? The reduction in speed is 90 minus x. This should be equal to k root n. So 18 root n. And now we want the maximum value of n. How many coaches can I attach? But what if I attach more than a certain number of coaches? What will happen? What is the, what is this? What do you not want to happen, right? So what you don't want is that the train stops. Correct? You attach so many, coaches to it that the train stops. It doesn't move. That's something you don't want. So the question is, when will that happen? What value of n will stop the train? That's what we want to find out. So the train stops if, when will it stop? If x equal to 0. Actual speed should become 0 if the train stops. If x is 0, then you take this and substitute there. 90 minus 0 should be 18 root n, which means root of n will be 90 upon 18, that's 5, which means n will be square of 5. 5 square is 25. So when n is 25, what happens? The train stops. So what is the maximum value? You shouldn't put n is equal to 25. What should you put n as? Maximum n can be 24. Right? So the correct answer is option B. You can attach a maximum of 24 coaches, because the moment I put the 25th coach, it reduces by 90 kilometers per hour. It comes to a stop. X becomes 0. Right? So the answer to question number 9 is option C. Yeah. Is this clear? Right. So these are tricky questions using proportionality. Right. The idea is that even in the IPM, if you want to get a good score, if you're attempting, let's say, 20 questions in the quant section, then 20 won't be easy. You probably will pick 12, maybe 13, 14 questions which are easy. You'll still have to pick 7, 8 questions that are slightly hard, no? So the idea is, can you pick something from proportionality, because it's not so hard. The trick is to figure out there will be some trick in the question which you need to figure out. Okay, about question number 10. In fact, let me give you 5 minutes. I want you to try question 10 and 11. 10th is quite easy. I have that question there only as a warm up, let's say. So try 10th, but I will also discuss 11th along with it, right? So please give yourself a couple of minutes for that.